Now, listen carefully. The first key to manifesting money rapidly is to understand that it already exists in your world. There is no such thing as creating something from nothing. There is only the art of becoming aware of that which already is. Money in vast abundance already exists in your world, waiting for you to claim it through the power of your wonderful human imagination. When I speak of imagination, I do not mean idle fantasy or mere wishful thinking. No, I speak of the creative power that shapes the very fabric of your reality. Your imagination is God in action, the very force that brings all things into being. It is the only true creative power in the universe. To manifest huge sums of money in 2 days or less, you must first enter into the state of the wish fulfilled. You must feel the wealth you desire as an accomplished fact, not as something hoped for in some distant future, but as a present reality that you are experiencing and know. Let me share with you how this divine law operates. Not long ago, a dear friend of mine found himself in dire financial circumstances. His business was failing, and he needed a substantial sum of money within 48 hours to prevent complete ruin. Having heard me speak on these principles, he decided to apply them with unwavering faith. He went home that evening, and before falling asleep, he entered into a state akin to sleep, but not quite sleep, that drowsy twilight state where the conscious and subconscious minds merge. In this state, he imagined holding a check in his hands for the exact amount he needed. He felt the paper between his fingers, saw the numbers clearly, and most importantly, he felt the overwhelming relief and gratitude that would accompany the receipt of such a sum. He did not question how this money would come to him. He did not concern himself with the means or channels through which it might arrive. He simply lived in the end, feeling the reality of wealth as an accomplished fact. Upon awakening the next morning, he went about his day with an inner calm and certainty that defied his outer circumstances. Though nothing had yet changed in his visible world, he maintained the feeling of the wish fulfilled. He spoke, acted, and thought from the assumption that his financial problems were solved. And then, my friends, less than 36 hours after his nighttime possession of imaginal work, he received a call from a former client whom he had not heard from in years. This client needed an urgent service that only my friend could provide, and was willing to pay a premium price that exceeded the very sum my friend had imagined receiving. Was this mere coincidence? I assure you it was not. It was the perfect operation of divine law. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, when you live from the end, the entire universe rearranges itself to bring about the conditions necessary for the realization of your assumption. But perhaps you are thinking that sounds too simple. Surely there must be more to it than that. I tell you truthfully, the law is simple. It is we who complicate it with our doubts and mental chatter. The second vital key to manifesting money rapidly is to eliminate all contradictory thoughts and feelings. Your conscious mind may affirm wealth, but if your deeper feelings and assumptions speak of lack, it is those deeper assumptions that will be made manifest in your world. Consider this carefully. Many desire wealth but continue to feel poor. They affirm abundance while simultaneously feeling the anxiety of lack. This divided mind cannot produce the desired results, for the law responds not to what you think superficially, but to what you feel deeply. To manifest huge sums of money in 2 days or less, you must achieve a state of undivided consciousness. Your entire being must vibrate with the conviction of wealth. There must be no part of you that doubts or denies this reality. Now let me teach you a specific technique that has proven remarkably effective for rapid manifestation. I call it the mental diet. For the next 2 days, the period during which you wish to manifest your money, you must carefully guard your mental and emotional states. You must feed your mind only those thoughts and feelings that align with your desire. When you catch yourself thinking or feeling in a way that contradicts your assumption of wealth, immediately revise that thought. Do not fight it or resist it, for what you resist persists. Instead, gently but firmly replace it with its opposite. If you find yourself thinking, I don't see how this money can possibly come to me, immediately revise it to, I am surrounded by infinite possibilities, and money flows to me from expected sources. If you feel anxiety about bills or expenses, revise that feeling immediately to one of confidence and security. Feel as you would feel if all your financial needs were abundantly met. This mental diet must be strictly followed for the duration of your manifestation period. Even a few moments of doubt or concern can significantly delay your results. Now, the third key, and this is absolutely crucial for rapid manifestation, is to create a vivid, sensory scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire. For instance, imagine yourself checking your bank account and seeing the exact sum you wish to manifest. Feel the emotions that would arise in that moment, the relief, the joy, the sense of security. Hear the sounds around you as you make this discovery. Perhaps you share the news with a loved one, hear their voice congratulating you. Make this imaginal scene as real and vivid as possible. Once you have constructed this scene, you must enter into it fully and repeatedly, especially during those precious moments before sleep. The subconscious mind is most receptive when you are in a drowsy, relaxed state. It is in these moments that the seed of your desire can be most effectively planted. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of feeling in your manifestation work. Logic and reason belong to your conscious mind, but the creative power lies in your feeling. Your emotions are the language of your subconscious, and it is the subconscious that brings your assumptions into physical form. Feel wealthy. Feel successful. Feel the relief and gratitude of financial abundance. These feelings are the secret bridge between your desire and its manifestation. Let me share another remarkable case with you. A young woman who attended my lectures deeply in debt and needed to manifest several $1,000s within 48 hours to prevent legal action against her. She had tried everything within the realm of human effort, but had found no solution. After hearing me speak on these principles, she went home determined to apply them fully. She created a simple scene where she was opening her mail and finding a check for the exact amount she needed. She felt the texture of the envelope, the weight of the check in her hands. She allowed the feeling of immense relief to wash over her as she realized her problems were solved. She replayed this scene in her imagination over and over, each time deepening the feeling of relief and gratitude. She did this just before sleep and upon awakening, and carried the feeling with her throughout her day. On the morning of the second day, she received a call from a relative she had not been close to for many years. This relative, without knowing of her financial troubles, explained that he had recently been reviewing his will and financial affairs. He had decided to give substantial gifts to family members now, rather than having them wait for an inheritance. She received a check that day for slightly more than the amount she had imagined. Was this a miracle? By conventional understanding, perhaps so. But I tell you, it was simply an operation of law, as precise and predictable as any law of physics. Now, there is another element vital to rapid manifestation that I must address, the element of faith. But when I speak of faith, I do not mean belief or hope. Faith, in its true sense, is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is the feeling of possession of that which you desire, but which has not yet appeared in the visible world. To manifest money rapidly, you must have absolute faith in the process. You must know, not merely believe, but know that what you have imagined is already a reality on the spiritual plane and must, by divine law, manifest on the physical plane. This faith is not wishful thinking. It is a deep, unshakable knowing that emerges when you truly understand the nature of reality. Reality is created from within. Your consciousness is the only reality, and the world you experience is but a projection of your own mental states. When you grasp this truth fully, manifesting money in 2 days or less becomes no more miraculous than planting a seed and watching it grow. It is simply the natural result of properly applied law. Now, some of you may be wondering about action. Should I take physical action to bring about my desire? The answer is yes, but only the action that flows naturally from your new state of consciousness. When you have truly assumed the feeling of wealth, you will find yourself naturally drawn to take actions that align with this new state. Opportunities will present themselves, and you will feel compelled to act upon them. But these actions will not feel like struggle or strain. They will feel like the natural expression of your inner state. Do not force action out of fear or desperation. Such action rarely produces desirable results. Instead, act from a place of inner certainty and alignment. Let me address another common concern, the matter of worthiness. Many believe they must somehow earn great wealth or prove themselves worthy of abundance. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of the universe. The universe does not withhold or bestow wealth based on worthiness. It simply responds to your consciousness. If you assume wealth, you will experience wealth. If you assume lack, you will experience lack. It is as simple and as profound as that. You need not justify your desire for wealth. You need not explain to the universe why you should have money. You simply need to assume the consciousness of already having it. Now, here is a technique that has proven particularly effective for rapid manifestation. I call it living in the end throughout the day. As you go about your daily activities, regardless of what they may be, carry with you the feeling of already possessing the wealth you desire. When you purchase something small, do so with the inner feeling of limitless abundance. When you pay a bill, do so with gratitude for your abundant resources. Speak to others as you would if your financial situation were exactly as you desire it to be. You need not lie or make false claims. Simply adjust your inner feeling tone to match your desired reality. This consistent inner state will accelerate your manifestation far more effectively than occasional intense sessions of imagination followed by hours of doubt and concern. Now let me address the 2 days or less aspect of our discussion. The time element in manifestation is determined primarily by two factors: the intensity of your feeling and the completeness of your faith. When your feeling is lukewarm and your faith is partial, manifestation may take weeks, months, or even years. But when your feeling is intense and your faith is complete, manifestation can occur with astonishing speed. I have witnessed countless cases of manifestation occurring within hours of the imaginal act simply because the individual achieved a moment of complete faith combined with intense feeling. So if you truly desire to manifest money in 2 days or less, intensify your feeling and complete your faith. See it done. Feel it real. Know it as an accomplished fact. Another powerful technique for rapid manifestation is what I call revision. If at any point during your 2-day manifestation period you experience events that tend to contradict your desire, do not accept them as final. Use your divine imagination to revise them. For instance, if you check your bank account and find less money than you hoped for, close your eyes immediately and imagine seeing the exact balance you desire. Feel the relief and joy of seeing that number. Make this revised version so real in your imagination that it supersedes the memory of what you physically saw. This practice of revision prevents contradictory impressions from taking root in your consciousness and delaying your manifestation. Now I must speak about a crucial element that many overlook: gratitude. Gratitude is not merely a virtuous emotion, it is a powerful creative force. When you feel genuine gratitude for the wealth you have imagined, you affirm its reality in the most potent way possible. Each night as you retire and each morning as you rise, take a moment to feel sincere gratitude for the financial abundance you have imagined. Thank the divine power within you for fulfilling your desire. This attitude of gratitude completes the manifestation cycle and accelerates the externalization of your imagined wealth. Let me share with you yet another case that demonstrates the miraculous speed with which these principles can operate. A gentleman who had attended several of my lectures found himself in need of a very specific sum to seize a business opportunity that suddenly presented itself. He needed this money within 24 hours and had no obvious way of obtaining it. That evening he applied the principles we have discussed. He imagined a scene where he was informing his business partner that the money had been secured. He felt the handshake, heard the congratulations, and felt the profound relief and excitement of moving forward with the opportunity. He fell asleep in this state and remarkably was awakened at 6 a.m. by a telephone call. A business associate from another state was calling to inquire if he would be interested in providing consultation on a new project. This associate offered a retainer that was almost exactly the amount he had imagined and asked if he could wire the money that very morning. Was this coincidence? Absolutely not. It was the perfect operation of law. When you impress your subconscious mind with a clear image backed by intense feeling, it must objectify that impression in your outer world. Now, I must address an aspect of manifestation that many find challenging: detachment. While you must feel the reality of your imagined wealth with great intensity, you must also cultivate a certain detachment from the process by which it comes to you. Too often people imagine not only the end result, but also the specific means by which that result must come. This limits the infinite intelligence of the universe, which may have channels and avenues you have never considered. To manifest money rapidly, focus exclusively on the end result, the money itself, the feeling of having it, and leave the means to the divine wisdom that orchestrates the universe. This open and receptive attitude allows your manifestation to come through the path of least resistance, which is often much faster than the path you might have consciously chosen. I have noticed in my many years of teaching these principles that those who manifest most rapidly are those who maintain the most childlike attitude. They do not overanalyze or intellectualize the process. They simply imagine with feeling and then carry on with their lives in complete faith that what they have imagined must come to pass. Become as a little child in your approach to manifestation. A child does not question the process of manifestation. They simply know what they want and expect to receive it. This simple, unquestioning expectancy is supremely powerful. Now I must speak of persistence. While manifestation can and often does occur within 2 days when these principles are properly applied, you must remain faithful to your imaginal act until manifestation occurs. Do not set an arbitrary deadline after which you will abandon your efforts if results are not seen. Continue in your assumption of wealth, in your feeling of the wish fulfilled, until it externalizes in your world. Remember always that the outer must conform to the inner. It is a law as reliable as gravity. For those of you who may be thinking, but I have tried to manifest money before and failed, I say to you, you have never failed. You have always manifested according to your dominant feeling and assumption. If you manifested lack rather than abundance, it was because your deeper feeling was one of lack, regardless of what you consciously thought or affirmed. To change your financial situation rapidly, you must change your deepest feeling about money. You must revise your self-concept to include the idea of yourself as a wealthy, abundant being for whom money flows easily and continuously. This brings me to another vital point: your self-concept. How do you see yourself in relation to money? Do you see yourself as someone who struggles financially, for whom money comes with difficulty? Or do you see yourself as someone naturally abundant, for whom wealth is the normal state? Your self-concept acts as a thermostat that regulates your financial temperature. To manifest huge sums of money rapidly, adjust thermostat by deliberately assuming a new concept of yourself as wealthy and abundantly supplied. When you change your fundamental assumptions about yourself and money, you change your entire financial reality. And yes, this change can manifest in as little as 2 days when the shift in consciousness is clear and complete. Let me suggest a specific exercise that many have found helpful for rapid financial manifestation. Before you sleep tonight, lie comfortably in your bed and relax your body completely. Then, imagine that you are having a conversation with a close friend or family member. In this conversation, you are sharing the wonderful news that you have received a large sum of money, the exact amount you wish to manifest. Feel the joy in your voice as you share this news. Hear their congratulations and feel the warmth of their happiness for you. Make this conversation so real that it feels like a natural memory rather than an imaginative event. Fall asleep in this state and allow your subconscious mind to work through the night to bring about the conditions necessary for the manifestation of your desire. Upon awakening, recall this imagined conversation and again feel its reality. Carry this feeling with you throughout your day, regardless of any appearances to the contrary in your outer world. This exercise, when performed with feeling and faith, has produced remarkable results within extremely short time frames. Now, I must address something that many teachers of manifestation neglect to mention, the matter of inspired action. While it is true that the inner work of imagination and feeling is the most important aspect of manifestation, you must also remain alert to any intuitive promptings that arise within you during your manifestation period. You may suddenly feel an urge to call someone you haven't spoken to in years. You may feel drawn to visit a place you don't normally go. You may receive an idea for a business or investment that seems to come from nowhere. These intuitive promptings are the guidance of your deeper self, showing you the bridge of incidents that leads to your manifestation. Do not ignore them. Act upon them promptly and decisively, knowing they are part of the divine orchestration bringing your desire into physical form. One of my students practiced these principles to manifest a large sum needed for medical treatment. Within hours of his imaginal session, he felt a strong urge to visit a kafir, sea he had never been to before. There, he happened to meet an old acquaintance who, upon hearing of his situation, offered to connect him with a trust that provided exactly the type of financial assistance he needed. The money was in his account the very next day. Had he ignored that intuitive prompting, his manifestation might have been delayed or redirected through another channel. Always trust and act upon these inner nudges when they come. Another aspect of rapid manifestation that must be addressed is your vibrational state. Your entire being vibrates at a certain frequency based on your predominant thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Money, like all things in the universe, responds to specific frequencies. To attract money rapidly, you must maintain a vibrational state that matches the frequency of wealth and abundance. This state is characterized by feelings of gratitude, generosity, excitement, and absolute knowing. Notice how wealthy individuals often speak about and interact with money. There is typically an ease, a confidence, a certainty about it. They expect good financial outcomes, and so they experience them. This is not because the universe favors them, but because their vibrational state naturally attracts the circumstances, people, and opportunities that match it. For the next 2 days, be vigilant about your vibrational state. When you notice yourself feeling anxious, worried, or doubtful about money, immediately shift to feelings of confidence, certainty, and abundance. This deliberate management of your vibrational state will significantly accelerate your manifestation. Now, I must share with you a profound truth that many miss. The universe does not distinguish between what you want and what you don't want. It simply responds to what you are vibrationally offering through your dominant thoughts and feelings. If you focus on not having enough money, the universe faithfully reflects back to you the experience of not having enough money. If you focus on debt and financial problems, you receive more debt and financial problems. But when you focus on wealth, abundance, and financial ease, when these states become your dominant vibrational offering, the universe must respond by bringing you experiences that match these states. For the next 2 days, keep your attention fixed firmly on what you want, not on what you don't want. Speak of financial lack or limitation only when necessary for practical matters, and even then maintain an inner feeling of abundance regardless of the words you must use. Another powerful technique for rapid manifestation is the use of affirmative prayer or decreeing. This is not the beseeching type of prayer where you ask an external deity for favor or assistance. Rather, it is the authoritative declaring of what is true on the spiritual plane and must therefore manifest on the physical plane. For instance, you might declare, "Infinite abundance flows to me now from expected and unexpected sources. I am wealthy beyond measure, and money comes to me easily and frequently. I am a money magnet drawing wealth to me through known and unknown channels. My good comes to me now in immeasurable abundance." Speak these words with authority and conviction, feeling them to be true even as you speak them. Do this several times throughout your 2-day manifestation period, particularly when you first awaken and just before you sleep. The power of your word, backed by feeling and faith, sets in motion vibrational forces that manifest with remarkable speed. Now it's important to address potential blocks to rapid manifestation. One of the most common blocks is an underlying belief that it is somehow wrong or spiritually unfavorable to desire wealth. Many have been conditioned to believe that money is the root of all evil, or that spirituality and prosperity are somehow opposed to each other. I tell you with absolute certainty, there is nothing spiritually wrong with desiring and manifesting wealth. Money is simply a symbol, a means of exchange, a representation of value. It is neither good nor evil in itself. Like all things, its nature depends entirely on the consciousness that directs it. When money flows to you as the result of your aligned consciousness, it comes for your good and the good of all concerned. Release any guilt or shame associated with your desire for wealth, knowing that as you prosper, you increase your capacity to contribute to the well-being of others. This inner conflict between desire and belief must be resolved for rapid manifestation to occur. For the next 2 days, whenever you detect any thought that wealth is somehow wrong or unspiritual, revise it immediately. Affirm instead that wealth is a natural expression of the abundant universe in which we live, and that by accepting abundance, you honor the infinite supply that is your divine birthright. Another common block is the fear of disappointment. Many hold back from fully committing to their manifestation because they fear being let down if it doesn't occur within their desired time frame. This protective mechanism actually ensures failure, for manifestation requires complete commitment. To manifest money rapidly, you must be willing to risk disappointment. You must go all in with your faith and feeling, holding nothing back as insurance against potential letdown. This total commitment accelerates manifestation dramatically. Remember always that the outer world is a reflection of your inner state. If you wish to change your financial circumstances in 2 days or less, you must first change your inner state regarding money. For these next 2 days, immerse yourself completely in the consciousness of wealth. Think from wealth, not of wealth. There is a crucial distinction here. When you think of wealth, you acknowledge its absence in your present experience. When you think from wealth, you occupy the state of wealth in consciousness, and the outer must eventually conform. Let me share one more powerful technique for those who wish to manifest money with extraordinary speed. I call it the congratulatory scene. Imagine a scene where several people who know you well are discussing your new financial status. Hear them saying to each other, "Isn't it wonderful about him, her? Such a large sum of money and so quickly. I'm so happy for them." Feel the sincerity of their good wishes. Feel how natural and normal your new wealth seems to these people who know you well. This technique is powerful because it adds the element of social confirmation to your imaginal act. When you can hear others discussing your success as an accomplished fact, your subconscious mind accepts the suggestion more readily and manifests it more rapidly. Now, one final point that is absolutely crucial for those who manifest money in 2 days or less. You must maintain an unwavering focus during this period. Do not dilute your manifestation by focusing on multiple desires simultaneously. For these 2 days, make financial abundance your singular focus. Pour all your imaginative energy into this one goal. This concentrated focus greatly accelerates the manifestation process. My dear friends, I have shared with you tonight the exact methods by which you can manifest huge sums of money in 2 days or less. These principles are not theoretical. They have been tested and proven countless times by myself and by those who have applied them faithfully. Remember, imagine with feeling, maintain the consciousness of wealth regardless of appearances. Revise any contradictory experiences. Act upon intuitive promptings. Manage your vibrational state. Decree your good with authority. Resolve any inner conflicts about wealth. Commit fully to your manifestation. Think from wealth rather than of it. And maintain singular focus during your manifestation period. Apply these principles with discipline and faith for the next 2 days and prepare to be astonished at how rapidly your financial situation transforms. The key is to understand and accept fully that your external reality is but a shadow of your internal state. Change the internal and the external must change. This is law. Before we conclude, let me emphasize once more the importance of persistence combined with patience. While manifestation can and often does occur in 2 days, when these principles are properly applied, do not become anxious or doubtful if your manifestation is still in process as the second day draws to a close. Divine timing is perfect timing, and your manifestation will occur at precisely the right moment for your highest good. Maintain your faith and feeling regardless of the calendar or clock. Finally, remember that you are not merely manifesting money, you are manifesting a new state of consciousness regarding money. This is the true miracle. The money itself is simply the outward symbol of this transformed consciousness. When you successfully manifest money through these principles, you have demonstrated mastery over your own consciousness, which is the only true mastery worth seeking. For when you can consciously direct your internal state, you gain control over your entire life experience. Go now and apply what you have learned. Test these principles for yourself. Prove them in the laboratory of your own life. I promise you that if you apply them faithfully, you will manifest not only the money you desire within this short period, but a whole new understanding of the creative power that lies within you. You are the operant power in your world. You are the God of your universe. Claim your divine inheritance of abundance now, and watch in wonder as it manifests before your eyes. The kingdom of heaven is within you, and that kingdom contains infinite abundance waiting to be expressed in your life. Claim it now. Feel it now. Live from it now. And within 2 days or less, you will see the outer manifestation of your transformed consciousness. I thank you for your attention this evening, and I congratulate you in advance on your imminent financial abundance. It is done. It is finished. Your good is established. Go in peace, knowing that what you have imagined with feeling must manifest in your world. It is law. I am not referring to some distant deity sitting on a cloud, passing judgment on his creation. No, the God of whom I speak is your own wonderful human imagination. This is the God that created all things and continues to create your world even now. The eternal body of man is the imagination that is God himself, as Blake so brilliantly expressed. This divine presence is not separate from you. It is the very core of your being. It is the I am consciousness that declares itself whenever you say, I am. When you state, I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am loved, you are activating the creative power of God within you. This power never sleeps, never fails, and never abandons the work it has begun in you. Perhaps you look at your current circumstances and see evidence that contradicts the fulfillment of your desires. You may see limitation where you crave abundance, illness where you long for health, or solitude where you yearn for companionship. And you wonder, has God abandoned me? Is the process broken? I tell you with absolute certainty, God is not done with you. Your physical senses present a world of effects, but the true causative power lies in your imagination. What you now experience as your reality was once only imagined. And what you now imagine with feeling and conviction must, by law, externalize itself in your world. The divine process. The process by which imagination creates reality follows an inviolable pattern. First comes the seed, your assumption. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you plant this seed in the fertile soil of consciousness. Then comes a period of gestation. During this interval, the conditions necessary for your assumption's fulfillment are being arranged in ways your conscious mind cannot perceive. Many abandon their desires during this critical gestation period, not understanding the perfect timing of divine law. They mistake the silence for absence, the darkness for defeat. But I tell you, this is the very moment to intensify your faith, to deepen your conviction that God's work in you continues unabated, unseen. The seed must decompose before the new growth appears. There is always a period of darkness, of apparent nothingness, before the manifestation of the new state. This is nature's way, and nature is but God's method of operation. Consider the miracle of a simple seed. Place it in the ground, and to all appearances it dies. There is a period where nothing seems to happen. Is the process incomplete? Has nature abandoned its purpose? No, beneath the surface, invisible to human eyes, a magnificent transformation is occurring. The seed casing breaks down, releasing the life force within. Roots extend downward. A shoot pushes upward, and in perfect timing, not a moment too soon or too late, new life emerges into the light. So it is with the seeds of your desires. Once planted in consciousness through the feeling of the wish fulfilled, they enter a period of invisible development. This is not a time of inactivity, but of the most profound activity beyond the detection of your senses. Do not despair during this period of seeming nothingness. Do not interpret the silence as abandonment. God is not done with you. The divine process continues, arranging the 1,000 details necessary for your assumption to flower into fact. Persistence in the face of contradiction. The world of Caesar, the world of physical evidence, will always present facts that contradict your new assumption. This is the greatest test of your faith. Can you persist in your assumption despite the testimony of your senses? When the man with the withered hand was commanded to stretch it forth, all physical evidence argued against the possibility. His experience, his memory, medical opinion, all would have counseled against attempting the impossible. Yet in that critical moment, he did not consult his past, but activated his imagination to feel what it would be like to have a perfectly functioning hand. He persisted in this new assumption despite all contradictory evidence, and his hand was restored. You too must develop this capacity to persist in your new assumption regardless of contradictory appearances. Your physical senses can only show you what has been manifested from past imaginings. They cannot reveal what is being shaped now through your present act of imagination. Remember the words attributed to Jesus, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is to judge from the standpoint of your wish fulfilled, to see what is not yet visible to mortal eyes. When you find yourself beset by doubts, when the voice of reason lists all the obstacles to your desires' fulfillment, when well-meaning friends counsel you to be realistic, this is the moment to reaffirm, God is not done with me. The process is unfolding perfectly. That which I've assumed in my imagination is already mine in the reality of consciousness, and must shortly become mine in the world of effects. The law of identical harvest. A fundamental law of creation is that you always reap what you sow. Your harvest will be identical in kind to your seed. If you plant corn, you will not harvest wheat. If you plant assumptions of lack, you cannot reap abundance. Many pray fervently for one state, while constantly imagining themselves in its opposite. They pray for health while fixating on symptoms. They desire wealth while mentally rehearsing their financial worries. They long for love while imaginatively dwelling on their loneliness. Then they wonder why God seems to have abandoned their cause. I tell you, God has not abandoned you. The Lord is functioning perfectly. You are experiencing precisely what you have planted in consciousness through your dominant assumptions. If you desire a different harvest, you must plant different seeds. You must revise your concept of self. Instead of accepting the suggestion of limitation, consciously choose the assumption of fulfillment. Feel yourself to be the person you wish to be. Experience imaginatively the state you long to occupy. Do this with the conviction that God's process is at work within you. Your conscious assumption activates the divine creative power, which then works day and night, independently of your conscious awareness, to bring about the conditions necessary for your assumption's fulfillment. The present moment is the point of creation. Many believe that fulfillment lies in some distant future, that they must wait for God to complete his work. But I tell you, the only point of creation is the eternal now. God's work in you is completed the moment you fully accept your assumption as fact. In imagination, step into the state of your wish fulfilled. Experience it with all the vividness you can muster. Feel the naturalness of being what you desire to be. Then know with absolute certainty that in the reality of consciousness, the only true reality or desire is already fulfilled. The time it takes for this inner fulfillment to become apparent to your senses is determined by the intensity of your feeling and the naturalness of your assumption. Some desires manifest instantly, while others require a period of unfoldment. But make no mistake, the creative act is completed in the moment of assumption. God is not working toward the fulfillment of your desire. In the moment you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, that desire was granted. What follows is not creation, but the emergence into visibility of that which is already complete. The Sabbath rest. After God completed his work of creation, he rested. This is a profound mystical truth that holds the key to successful manifestation. When you have planted the seed of your desire through conscious assumption, you must enter the Sabbath, the state of mental rest. Many undermine their creative work by continuing to labor anxiously after the seed is planted. They dig up the seed repeatedly to check if it's growing. They water it with tears of doubt and fear. They hover over it with the anxious concern of a parent whose lack of trust impedes the natural development of their child. To trust the process is to enter the Sabbath rest. Having assumed the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you release all anxiety about how and when it will appear in your world. You know with unshakable confidence that what you have planted must, by divine law, come to harvest. This rest is not inactivity, but the highest form of activity, the activity of faith. It is a mental stillness that reflects absolute confidence in the perfect operation of divine law. It is the peace that comes from knowing that God is not done with you, that the process continues perfectly without your anxious supervision. The principle of revision. If you have planted seeds contrary to your desires, if you have accepted limiting assumptions that now manifest as unwanted conditions, do not despair. The divine power of revision is always available to you. Through the art of revision, you can literally rewrite past. As you drop into sleep tonight, replay the events of your day not as they occurred, but as you wish they had occurred. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the fulfillment that would be yours had things gone ideally. This is not mere fantasy or escapism. This is the activation of the divine process of creation. Your imaginal act, impressed upon the malleable substance of consciousness, will work backward and forward to bring about conditions in harmony with your revised version. God is not done with your past any more than he is done with your future. All time exists simultaneously in the eternal now of consciousness. What you have experienced as past remains alive and subject to revision through the power of your imagination. The bridge of incidents between your present state and the fulfillment of your desire stretches what I call the bridge of incidents, a series of seemingly unrelated ends that lead inevitably to your desired end. You need not concern yourself with constructing this bridge. That is the work of the divine process. Your task is simply to occupy the end, to dwell mentally in the state of your wish fulfilled, and to trust the perfect operation of the law to bring about all intermediate steps. These steps may not follow the path you would consciously choose. They may include apparent setbacks or detours. The human intellect, with its limited perspective, cannot map the shortest route between desire and fulfillment. But divine intelligence, operating through your assumption, knows the perfect way. Often, what appears to be a devastating disappointment proves to be a necessary link in the chain of fulfillment. The job you didn't get, the relationship that ended, the investment that failed, all may be essential components of the bridge leading to something far greater than you had imagined. This is why trust in the process is so essential. When you truly understand that God is not done with you, you can meet every circumstance with the conviction that it forms part of the perfect pattern leading to your good. Living from the end. The most powerful position from which to create is the end. When you mentally dwell in the end, the state of your wish fulfilled, you align yourself with the creative current that brings all things into being. Most people live from memory rather than from imagination. They allow their present to be determined by their past. But the awakened individual lives from imagination, allowing their present to be shaped by their chosen future. To live from the end is to occupy mentally the state you desire to externalize. It is to feel the naturalness of being what you want to be. It is to experience the satisfaction of having what you want to have. As you persist in this mental occupation, the present circumstances of your life begin to rearrange themselves to conform to your assumption. People, events, and conditions align perfectly to make your invisible assumption a visible fact. This is not wishful thinking or positive affirmation. This is the operation of immutable law. Your consciousness is the only reality. What you accept as true in consciousness must externalize itself in your world. There is no power outside of your own wonderful human imagination that can override this process. The pruning process. Sometimes the manifestation of your desire requires the removal of certain elements from your life. This is the necessary pruning that precedes new growth. Just as a gardener prunes a rose bush, cutting away even healthy branches to promote more abundant flowering, so the divine process sometimes removes people, circumstances, or conditions that cannot harmonize with your new assumption. This pruning may temporarily appear as loss, as disappointment, as abandonment. But I assure you it is evidence not that God has abandoned his work in you, but that the process continues perfectly. Every apparent loss creates space for something better to enter. Every relationship that ends makes room for more fulfilling connection. Every door that closes propels you toward the open door that leads to your good. Trust the pruning process. Know that nothing essential to your happiness and fulfillment can be taken from you. That which is removed simply cannot accompany you into your new state of being. The law of assumption supersedes all lesser laws. Many believe themselves bound by limitations, physical laws, heredity, environment, past mistakes, the actions of others. They see these as insurmountable obstacles to the fulfillment of their desires. But I tell you, the law of assumption supersedes all lesser laws. When you firmly assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, all other factors must rearrange themselves to conform to your assumption. The laws of physics, biology, economics, and social interaction are not absolute. They are patterns based on collective assumptions. Your individual assumption, when maintained with conviction, can modify or suspend these lesser laws. This is the true meaning of miracle. Not a suspension of law, but the operation of higher law that transcends common expectations. You are not bound by your past, your genes, your environment, or the actions of others. These present obstacles only to the degree that you accept them as limitations. Change your fundamental assumptions, and these seeming obstacles become the very elements that contribute to your success. The states of consciousness. Your entire life is a movement through various states of consciousness. Each state has its own inherent conditions and circumstances. When you occupy a state of poverty consciousness, you experience the limitations and lacks associated with poverty. When you occupy a state of health consciousness, you experience the vitality and well-being associated with health. These states are not imposed upon you from without. You enter them through your assumptions, and you can leave any undesirable state by assuming yourself to be in its opposite. Many pray to be delivered from an unwanted state while mentally continuing to occupy it. This is like asking to be in Boston while refusing to leave Chicago. You cannot be in two cities or two states of consciousness simultaneously. If you desire to experience the conditions of abundance, you must vacate the state of poverty by assuming the feeling of abundance. If you wish to experience radiant health, you must vacate the state of illness by assuming the feeling of vitality. The divine process that I speak of is this movement from state to state, each bringing its corresponding conditions into your life. God is not done with you because this progression never ends. There are infinite states of consciousness available to you, each offering richer experiences than the last. The purpose of the process. You may wonder why the process unfolds as it does. Why doesn't God simply grant your desire instantly? Why the waiting, the unfolding, the bridge of incidents? The purpose of the process is not merely to give you the thing desired, but to transform you into the person who can receive and maintain it. The unfoldment perfectly paces your evolution in consciousness. If you received instantly everything your surface mind desires, without the corresponding development in consciousness, you would either fail to recognize your good or be unable to sustain it. Consider the lottery winners who receive vast wealth without the consciousness of wealth, only to lose it all within a few years. Consider the person who achieves their dream relationship, but lacking the consciousness of being loved, sabotages it through insecurity and fear. The divine process works not just to bring you your desire, but to bring you into alignment with it. The waiting period, which so many interpreters delay or denial, is actually exact time needed for you to develop the consciousness that can contain your good. Trust this process. Know that God is not done with you. The perfect pattern of your unfoldment is proceeding exactly as it should. The promise. Beyond all manifestation of specific desires, what I call the promise, the ultimate purpose of the divine process working in you. This promise is your complete awakening to your true identity as God individualized. All lesser manifestations, wealth, health, relationships, achievements are steps leading to this supreme realization. They are important, yes, but they are not the final purpose of the process. God is not done with you because the work continues until the promise is fulfilled in you, until you awaken fully to the truth that you are God in human form, that there is no power outside of your consciousness, that you are the author of all that you experience. This awakening does not come through effort or merit. It unfolds in its appointed time, after you have exhausted your desire for lesser gifts. When you have experienced all that you wish to have and be in this world, the promise begins to stir within you. Signs of its approach include increased detachment from worldly concerns, spontaneous visions of spiritual significance, and a growing awareness of your identity with the divine I am. When the promise is fulfilled, you know beyond all doubt that you and the Father are one. Persisting through the dark night. Almost everyone who walks this path experiences what has been called the dark night of the soul, a period of profound doubt, confusion, and seeming abandonment. During this phase, all that you have believed appears to fail you. Your manifestations cease, your faith wavers, and God seems utterly absent from your life. This dark night is not evidence that the process has failed, but that it has reached a critical juncture. It is the final purification before a significant breakthrough. It is the darkness before dawn. During this period, old beliefs and attachments are being dissolved to make way for a new level of consciousness. The caterpillar must enter the darkness of the chrysalis and experience the dissolution of its caterpillar identity before it can live as a butterfly. If you are experiencing such a dark night, take heart. God is not done with you. This is not abandonment, but transformation. Hold fast to your faith, not with desperate clutching, but with quiet confidence. Continue to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, even when all evidence argues against it. Those who persist through the dark night emerge with a sight that cannot be shaken, a knowledge that cannot be undermined by temporary appearances. They become masters of creation rather than victims of circumstance. The transformed mind. As you work with the law of assumption and trust the divine process, your mind undergoes a profound transformation. You develop what the Bible calls the mind of Christ, a consciousness aligned perfectly with divine creative power. This transformed mind is not swayed by appearances. It judges not by sensory evidence, but by the reality of imagination. It knows that what is seen is temporary, while what is unseen is eternal. With this mind, you no longer react to conditions. You respond to them creatively, knowing that your consciousness determines your experience, not the other way around. You no longer pray to be delivered from circumstances, but realize your power to transform them through the assumption of the state you desire. This is the true second birth, not of flesh, but of consciousness. You are born anew into a realization of your creative power and your identity with the divine I am. The community of the faithful. As you walk this path of conscious creation, you will find yourself drawn to others who understand and apply these principles. This is the true meaning of church, not an external organization, but a gathering of those who worship in spirit and in truth. You need not proselytize or convince others of what you have discovered. Those who are ready will be drawn to you naturally. Those who are not will fall away, often without conflict or drama. This sorting is not your responsibility, but part of the divine process. God is not done with them either, though their path may differ from yours for a season. Share your understanding with those who show genuine interest, but avoid casting your pearls before those who would trample them underfoot through ridicule or argumentative opposition. The truth you embody will speak more persuasively than any verbal argument. The eternal expansion. The divine process never truly ends, for consciousness is eternally expansive. There is no final state, no ultimate achievement that completes your journey. Each fulfillment opens the door to new desires, new possibilities, new expressions of the infinite creative power within you. This eternal expansion is cause for celebration, not concern. It means that life never grows stale, never becomes routine, never reaches a point of stagnation. There are always new worlds to conquer, new aspects of yourself to discover, new joys to experience. God is not done with you because God, your own wonderful human imagination, is the ever-creating, ever-expanding essence of life itself. As you align with this creative flow, accepting its perfect timing and infinite wisdom, you experience the joy that comes from participating consciously in the eternal unfoldment. Practical application. To close our discussion tonight, let me offer some practical guidance for applying these principles in your daily life. Select a desire that, if fulfilled, would bring you genuine joy. Make it specific enough to generate real feeling, but general enough to allow for flexible fulfillment. Construct a short scene that implies your desire's fulfillment. Perhaps it's a friend congratulating you, or you simply observing evidence that your wish has come to pass. Enter a state of relaxation through whatever method works best for you. Physical relaxation facilitates mental receptivity. In this relaxed state, enact your scene in imagination. See it through your own eyes, not as an observer. Feel the textures, hear the sounds, experience the emotions that would accompany fulfillment. Repeat this scene until it feels natural, until it has the tone of reality. This may require one session or many, depending on your capacity for feeling and your attachment to contrary evidence. Throughout your day, whenever doubt arises, remind yourself, God is not done with me. The process is unfolding perfectly. Then briefly recall the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Release all anxiety about how your desire will manifest. The bridge of incidents will form naturally through the wisdom of divine law. Express gratitude for the fulfillment of your desire, not as something to come, but as something already accomplished in consciousness. Watch for and follow intuitive promptings. These inner nudges are often part of the bridge of incidents leading to your manifestation. When your desire manifests, acknowledge the operation of law. This strengthens your faith for future creations. Remember, the process I describe is not magical thinking or wishful imagination. It is the deliberate application of the creative law that shapes all experience. It requires practice, persistence, and unwavering faith in the midst of contradictory appearances. Final words. My dear friends, as we conclude our time together, let me leave you with this final assurance: God is not done with you. The divine process that shapes your destiny continues perfectly, bringing you ever closer to the complete realization of your desires and ultimately to the fulfillment of the promise. Do not be discouraged by temporary appearances of failure or delay. Do not interpret the silence as abandonment. In the depths of consciousness, in the invisible realm where all creation begins, your assumption is being given form and substance, preparing to emerge into the world of physical reality. Trust the process as you would trust the growth of a seed planted in fertile soil. Having planted your desire through conscious assumption, enter the Sabbath rest of absolute confidence. Know that what you have planted must, by immutable law, come to harvest. You are not subject to chance or fate. You are not the victim of circumstances or the prisoner of past mistakes. You are the operating power of God in this world, creating your reality through the choices of consciousness. As you leave this place tonight, go with the conviction that the work begun in you continues to its perfect fulfillment. God is not done with you. The process unfolds exactly as it should. Your task is simply to maintain the faithful assumption that what you desire is already yours in the one true reality, the reality of consciousness. In that conviction lies your power, your peace, and the certainty of manifestation. God bless you all. The world you perceive with your physical senses is not the cause of your experience, but the effect. The true cause lies within you, in your consciousness, in your imagination. This is the foundation of the law of assumption. The law of assumption states that if you assume a state and persist in it, it must become your reality. This law is not subject to your belief or disbelief. It operates regardless of your conscious acceptance. It is as constant as the law of gravity. Just as an object must fall when released, so must your assumptions manifest in your physical reality. Now, you might be thinking, but Neville, how can I ignore the reality of my current financial situation? How can I assume wealth when my bank account shows otherwise? This, my dear friends, is where the true test of faith comes in. For faith is not believing in spite of evidence, but believing in spite of appearance. Remember, your physical reality is nothing more than the outpicturing of your past assumptions. It is the harvest of seeds you have previously sown in your consciousness. To change your reality, you must plant new seeds. You must assume a new state. Let us delve deeper into this concept. When I speak of assuming a state, I am not talking about mere positive thinking or affirmations. I am speaking of a complete embodiment of the state you desire. You must think from the state of wealth, not of wealth. Imagine for a moment that you are already wealthy beyond your wildest dreams. How would you think? How would you feel? How would you carry yourself? What decisions would you make? This is not a game of make-believe. This is the active creation of a new reality. You see, your imagination is not a separate part of you. It is the very essence of your being. It is God in action within you. When you imagine, you are literally shaping the substance of the universe. Your imaginal acts are the causes set in motion that will inevitably manifest in your physical world. Now, some of you might be wondering, but how long will it take for my assumption to manifest? This is a common question, but it reveals a misunderstanding of the nature of time in manifestation. In the realm of imagination, there is no time. Your desire is fulfilled the moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The time it takes for your assumption to appear in your physical reality is determined by your faith and your persistence in the assumed state. The more faithfully you persist in your assumption, living and acting as though it were already true, the more quickly it will externalize in your world. Let me give you an example. Suppose you desire to be wealthy. Instead of focusing on the lack of money in your current reality, you would assume the state of wealth. You would sleep as though you were sleeping in the most luxurious bed. You would eat as though you were dining in the finest restaurants. You would walk and talk and think as a wealthy person does. This is not pretense or self-deception. This is the active use of your creative power. For remember, the world is yourself pushed out. Everyone and everything in your world is a reflection of your consciousness. As you assume the state of wealth, the world must rearrange itself to match your assumption. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, what about action? Don't I need to do something to become wealthy? Of course, action has its place. But understand this, action does not create. Action only expresses. The true creative power lies in your assumption. When you truly assume the state of wealth, inspired action will naturally follow. You will find yourself making decisions and taking steps that align with your new state of consciousness. These actions will not feel like effort or struggle. They will feel natural, even inevitable. Remember, the outer world is dead. It has no power to create or to change. All creation happens first in consciousness. Your job is not to manipulate the outer world, but to change your inner world. As you change within, the outer must conform. Now, let us address a common obstacle in this process, the evidence of your senses. Your physical senses will continue to show you your old reality for a time. This is where many falter. They look at their current circumstances and say, see, nothing has changed. It's not working. But I tell you now, this period of seemingly unchanged circumstances is crucial. It is the interval between your assumption and its manifestation in the physical world. It is the period where your faith is tested. Will you persist in your new assumption, or will you return to your old state? During this time, you must be like the farmer who has planted his seeds. He does not dig them up every day to see if they have sprouted. He trusts in the law of growth. He knows that in due time his crop will appear. So must you trust in the law of assumption. Remember, what you are seeing in your physical reality is the result of your past assumptions. It has no power over your future unless you give it power through your continued assumption. Ignore the evidence of your senses. Persist in your new assumption. Live from the end. Now let us delve deeper into the concept of living from the end. This is not about visualizing a future state. It is about experiencing your desire as a present fact. When you truly live from the end, you are not trying to get something. You are experiencing the state of already having it. Imagine you have a friend who lives in another city. When you think of this friend, you don't visualize them or affirm their existence. You simply know they exist. This is the kind of knowing you must have about your desired state of wealth. It should be as real and as natural to you as the existence of your distant friend. This state of knowing, of living from the end, is what truly activates the law of assumption. It aligns your entire being, your thoughts, your emotions, your actions with the reality of your desire. And in this alignment, miracles happen. Now, some of you might be wondering about the role of emotion in this process. Emotion is crucial. It is the fuel that gives life to your assumption. When you assume a state, you must feel the reality of it. You must experience the joy, the excitement, the gratitude of already being wealthy. But here's a key point. These emotions should not be intense or forced. They should be natural, calm, the kind of quiet joy you feel when you think already possess. Remember, you are not trying to convince yourself of something. You are simply acknowledging what is already true in your consciousness. Let us now address another common concern. What if doubts arise? Doubts are natural. They are the old man, the old state of consciousness fighting to survive. But understand this, doubts have no power unless you give them power through your attention and belief. When doubts arise, do not fight them. Do not give them energy by arguing with them. Simply return to your assumed state. Gently but firmly bring your attention back to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Remember, what you focus on expands. Focus on your new state, not on your doubts. Now, let's talk about the concept of revision. Revision is a powerful tool in ignoring reality and assuming wealth. Each night before you sleep, review the events of your day, but do not review them as they appear to your senses. Revise them to align with your desired state of wealth. If you encountered a financial challenge during the day, revise it. See it as an opportunity that led to greater wealth. If you had a negative interaction related to money, revise it. See it as a positive, prosperous exchange. You are not denying what happened. You are actively reshaping your memory and thus your future. Remember, your memories are not fixed. They are fluid, constantly being reconstructed. By consciously revising your memories, you are literally rewriting your past. And as you change your past in your imagination, you change the trajectory of your future. Now, let us discuss the importance of persistence. Assuming a new state is not a one-time event. It is a continuous choice. You must persist in your new state, even when the outer world shows no sign of change. This persistence is what distinguishes those who successfully manifest their desires from those who do not. Think of it like this: when you move to a new home, you don't wake up each morning wondering where you are. You naturally assume your new surroundings. This is how you must be with your assumed state of wealth. It should become your new normal, your new home state. But what if you falter? What if you find yourself slipping back into your old state of consciousness? Do not despair. Simply acknowledge it and return to your assumed state. Remember, you are breaking lifelong habits of thought and feeling. It takes practice. Be patient with yourself, but be persistent. Now, let's address a crucial point. The law of assumption is not about manipulating external circumstances. It's about aligning yourself with the reality you desire. When you assume the state of wealth, you're not trying to force money to come to you. You're becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts wealth. This distinction is important. Many people approach manifestation with a mindset of lack, trying to get something they believe they don't have. But in truth, all that you desire already exists in the infinite possibilities of the universe. Your job is not to create wealth, but to align yourself with the wealth that already exists. Think of it like tuning a radio. All stations are broadcasting simultaneously, but you can only hear the one you're tuned into. When you assume the state of wealth, you're tuning yourself to the frequency of abundance. You're not creating the broadcast, you're aligning yourself to receive it. Now let's delve into the concept of detachment. This might seem contradictory to what we've discussed about assuming the state of wealth, but it's actually complementary. Detachment doesn't mean not caring about your desire. It means releasing your anxious attachment to how or when it will manifest. When you're anxiously attached to the outcome, you're actually affirming the lack of your desire. You're saying, I want this because I don't have it. This state of consciousness keeps your desire at arm's length, always in the future, never in the now. True detachment comes from the deep knowing that your desire is already yours in consciousness, and therefore must manifest in your physical reality. It's a state of calm expectancy, of knowing the law is at work, even when you can't see the evidence yet. This detachment allows you to truly live in the end. You're not waiting for something to happen. You're simply being who you are, a wealthy person. This state of being is far more powerful than any amount of doing or trying. Now let's discuss the concept of everyone is you pushed out. This principle states that everyone in your world is a reflection of your consciousness. The way people treat you, the opportunities that come your way, even the seemingly random events in your life, all are reflections of your state of being. This understanding brings with it a great responsibility. It means that if you want to experience a world of abundance and prosperity, you must first embody those qualities within yourself. As you assume the state of wealth, you will naturally see others differently, and they will respond differently to you. During this process of assuming wealth, be aware of how you perceive others. Are your perceptions aligned with your desired reality? If not, consciously choose to see others in a way that supports your assumption of wealth. See others as prosperous, generous, supportive of your success. Remember, you are not manipulating others. You are simply aligning your perception with your desired reality, and others will naturally conform to this new perception. Now, let's talk about the power of your words. Your words are not just sounds or symbols. They are creative forces. They are declarations to the universe. When you assume the state of wealth, your words must align with this new state. Speak as though you are already wealthy. Use phrases like I am wealthy instead of I will be wealthy. Speak of abundance, not of lack. Describe your financial situations in positive terms, even if your physical senses tell you otherwise. This is not about lying or denying your current circumstances. It's about aligning your speech with the reality you are assuming. Remember, your words are seeds planted in the fertile soil of the universe. Make sure you're planting seeds of abundance, not of lack. Now let's address a common pitfall. Compare yourself to others. In your journey of assuming wealth, you might be tempted to look at others and measure your progress against theirs. This is a trap. Remember, everyone is you pushed out. What you see in others is a reflection of your own consciousness. Instead of comparing yourself to others, focus on your own journey. Your only competition is with your previous self. Are you more aligned with the state of wealth today than you were yesterday? That's the only comparison that matters. Let's delve deeper into the concept of faith. Faith is not wishful thinking or blind belief. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It is a knowing beyond physical evidence. When you have true faith in your assumed state of wealth, you don't hope for it to manifest. You know it must manifest as surely as you know the sun will rise tomorrow. This kind of faith doesn't ignore your current reality. It sees beyond it. It recognizes that your physical reality is just a shadow, a reflection of past assumptions. Your new assumption of wealth, held with unwavering faith, is the new cause set in motion that must produce new effects. Now, let's discuss the importance of gratitude in this process. Gratitude is not just a polite sentiment. It is a powerful creative force. When you are truly grateful, You are acknowledging the presence of your desire in your life. You are affirming its reality even before it manifests in the physical realm. During this process of assuming wealth, cultivate a deep sense of gratitude. Be thankful not just for what you can see and touch, but for the unseen blessings that are even now unfolding in your life. Give thanks for the wisdom that guides you, the abundance that surrounds you, and the power that resides within you. Gratitude puts you in a state of receptivity. It opens you to receive even greater blessings. It aligns you with the abundance of the universe. Practice gratitude not from a place of lack, hoping to receive, but from a place of fullness, knowing you already have. Now, let's address the concept of the Sabbath. The Sabbath in this context is not about a particular day of the week, but about a state of mind. It is a state of complete rest from all effort, a state of knowing that your work is done. In the process of assuming wealth, the sabbath stage is crucial. It is the state of total acceptance of your desires and accomplished fact. In this state, you no longer feel the need to make your desire happen, because you know it is already done. Practice entering the sabbath state. After you've done your imaginal act, after you've assumed the feeling of wealth, consciously enter a state of rest. Release all anxiety, all need to make it happen. Know that the law is at work, and your only task now is to remain in the state of wealth. Now, let's discuss the concept of dimensional shifting. This is the idea that for every possible reality, there is a version of you already experiencing it. Your task in assuming wealth is not to create something new, but to shift your consciousness to align with the version of you that is already wealthy. Practice thinking from the perspective of the wealthy you. How would that version of you think? How would they feel? What decisions would they make? Align yourself with this version of you, and you will naturally shift into the reality where wealth is your normal state. Let's delve into the concept of the law of reverse effort. This law states that the harder you try to achieve something, the more you push it away. This is why so many people struggle to manifest their desires. They are trying too hard, and in their effort, they are actually affirming the lack of what they want. In assuming wealth, you must release all effort. You are not trying to get rich. You are simply acknowledging the wealth that is already yours in consciousness. This state of effortless acceptance is far more powerful than any amount of striving or struggling. Now let's address the concept of the bridge of incidents. When you assume a new state, a series of events is set in motion to bring about the manifestation of your desire. This series of events is called the bridge of incidents. The key here is to trust the bridge. You don't need to know how your assumption of wealth will manifest. Your job is simply to maintain your assumption and allow the bridge to unfold naturally. Each event, each encounter, each seeming coincidence is a part of this bridge, leading you to the full manifestation of your assumed wealth. Let's discuss the importance of self-concept in assuming wealth. Your self-concept is the sum total of your beliefs about yourself. It is the foundation upon which all your experiences are built. If you want to manifest wealth, you must first see yourself as someone who is naturally wealthy. Work on changing your self-concept. See yourself as someone who is good with money, who attracts abundance effortlessly, who lives in a state of prosperity. As you change your self-concept, you change the foundation of your reality. Now let's address the role of action in this process. While it's true that assumption is the foundation of manifestation, inspired action often plays a part. The key word here is inspire. When you truly assume the state of wealth, you will find yourself naturally inspired to take actions that align with this state. These inspired actions will not feel like effort or struggle. They will feel natural, even inevitable. You won't be taking action to get rich. You'll be taking action because that's what a wealthy person would naturally do. Let's delve into the concept of revision once more. Revision is not just about changing your memories of past events. It's about reinterpreting your entire life story in a way that supports your assumed state of wealth. See your past challenges as stepping stones that led you to your current prosperity. Reframe past financial struggles as valuable lessons that prepared you for the wealth you now enjoy. Remember, your past does not determine your future unless you carry it with you. Through revision, you can create a new past that naturally leads to your wealthy present and future. This isn't about denying what happened, but about changing its meaning and its impact on your consciousness. Now, let's discuss the importance of living in the end. This means experiencing your desire as a present fact, not a future possibility. When you live in the end, you're not hoping to become wealthy. You're experiencing the reality of being wealthy now in your imagination. This state of living in the end collapses time. It brings your desire into the present moment, making its manifestation inevitable. Remember, in the realm of imagination, there is no time. Your desire is fulfilled the moment you assume the feeling of its fulfillment with conviction. Let's address the concept of everyone as you pushed out once more. In your journey of assuming wealth, you will encounter various people and situations. Remember, these are all reflections of your consciousness. The supportive business partner, the generous client, the unexpected opportunity, or you pushed out, reflecting your assumed state of wealth. As you persist in your assumption of wealth, you'll find that people and circumstances naturally align with your new state. You're not changing others, you're changing yourself. And others must conform to your new concept of self. Now, let's delve into the power of silence. After you have done your imaginal act, after you have assumed the feeling of wealth, there comes a time for silence. This silence is not just external, but internal. It's a cessation of all inner chatter about your desire. In this silence, you allow the seed of your assumed wealth to take root and grow. You don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You trust in the law, knowing that what is done in consciousness must manifest in reality. Let's discuss the concept of the law of attraction versus the law of assumption. While both laws deal with manifestation, the law of assumption is more powerful. The law of attraction suggests that you attract what you focus on. The law of assumption states that you manifest what you claim as true. In assuming wealth, you're not trying to attract money to you. You're claiming wealth as your current reality. This subtle shift makes all the difference. You're not reaching for something outside yourself. You're acknowledging what is already true within you. Now, let's address the importance of persistence. Assuming a new state is not a one-time event. It's a continuous choice. You must persist in your new state, even when the outer world shows no sign of change. This persistence is what distinguishes those who successfully manifest their desires from those who do not. Think of it like learning a new language. At first it feels unnatural, even difficult. But with persistent practice, it becomes second nature. The same is true for your new state of wealth. Persist and it will become your new normal. Let's delve into the concept of quantum jumping. This is the idea that you can shift your consciousness to a reality where your desire is already fulfilled. In assuming wealth, you're quantum jumping to a reality where you are already wealthy. This isn't about physically jumping to a different universe. It's about aligning your consciousness with a version of reality where your desire is fulfilled. As you persist in this new state, your physical reality must reshape itself to match. Now let's discuss the importance of self-love in this process. Self-love is not vanity. It's a recognition of your true nature as a divine being worthy of all good things. Without self-love, you may subconsciously block your manifestations, feeling unworthy of receiving them. As you assume the state of wealth, cultivate deep self-love. Know that you are deserving of abundance. This self-love will align you with the frequency of wealth, making its manifestation effortless. In conclusion, remember that the power to create your reality lies within you. Ignoring the apparent reality of your senses and assuming the state of wealth is not about denial. It's about recognizing the true creative power of your consciousness. As you persist in your assumption, as you live from the end, as you align every aspect of your being with the reality of wealth, you will find your outer world reshaping itself to match your inner state. The power is yours. Use it wisely and watch as your assumption of wealth manifests in ways beyond your wildest dreams.